here, and we are doing Our Life Forever and Always for a second time. I am excited, because I get to experience all of the DLC now. But, yes, we get to do this again, with a brand new character. So, for anyone who missed the first playthrough of this game, the first time we were an NB child named Joy, who was very, very outgoing, very just perky, and you know, just a very extroverted character. So this time, I am going to do something completely different. Welcome to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how certain features work. You can read the full tutorial from the main menu to learn about everything in detail. To start off, the game is divided into 4 time periods called steps. Step 1, childhood, Step 2, adolescence, Step 3, young adult, and Step 4, adulthood. Our life is further divided into sets of vignettes that take place during specific periods of time. These are called moments. Moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Steps 1 through 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now and other DLCs will release later on. And as of this recording, I have all of the DLCs that are available. I do not know if that will change by the time this becomes public, but we'll see. Step 4 is an epilogue and doesn't include moments. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interest, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered once set. Which, you know, makes sense. Much of the MC's basic traits are determined on a character creation screen. As the MC grows up, more options become available on the screen. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voiced names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story, which is very cute. And I have enjoyed that feature last time, so I think I'm probably going to go with one of the preset names again, but we'll see. Definitely not going to be Joy this time. Only the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voice name expansion DLC, which I have. I've had that since the beginning. The full collection of names is separated out as a DLC because of how large it is. If you're not interested in that feature, you don't need to get it. Each name in the DLC belongs to, or was selected by, someone who's supported this project. On the character creation screen, there's a cute doll you can decorate to get an idea of what your MC looks like with different traits put together. Not all of the things you decide about the MC appear on the doll. The script referencing what you've decided for the MC is the main way those decisions influence the game. Our Life has a first-person perspective, so your character doesn't appear next to the other character sprites. You only see the MC as the decorative doll and in special cut-in CG images. The cut-in CGs only appear if certain choices are made. It's possible not to see any during a playthrough, which I don't think we saw any cut-in CGs at all, so this will be interesting. There's also a second type of special MC-based screen, the interest/comfort screen. Unless you get DLCs, the game has one love interest, Cove Holden. He grows up with the MC, and the interest/comfort screen is crucial for determining how that plays out. Interest level sets how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterest, fond, crush, and love. Love is only available starting in step 3, and if you were at fond or crush in step 2, which we were in the last one. Don't mind me as I burn the fuck out of my mouth. Hot tea is a great idea, except when you try to chug it. Comfort determines how you generally react/think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Which, for this whole playthrough, I think we're just going to be locked into nervous, which is going to be interesting. Your level of interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. What you did in the past will influence the present, and feelings can change over time. You get to pick your interest/comfort near the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between the 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can only stay the same or increase. Your current level of interest will become the new lowest option on the screen in the future. Fair. For example, if you decide to be fond in step 1, disinterest will not be available on the screen in step 2 and 3, which will make fond the bottom level option for your relationship. Interest level has an impact when it comes to physically interacting with Cove. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and have a close relationship, you can choose to touch him, and Cove will occasionally interact with the MC in lighthearted or comforting ways. By starting in step 3, touching can become more romantic or suggestive if you're at crush or love. To make sure things go nicely with that, there will be an extra choice to determine initiative level, and a bonus mini-tutorial that goes along with the choice to explain the future in more detail. Basically, even if you decide you like Cove, the game won't force you to act on those feelings, which is fantastic for anyone on the ace spectrum. You can always choose not to get together with him, choose not to accept or give romantic gestures, etc. If you do decide to date Cove, though, you can break up with him later. Interest/comfort gets the basics down, but it's the choices that appear throughout the normal game events that decide what actually happens between the MC and Cove. And it isn't only the MC who is impacted by your decisions. Cove grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and what he experiences helps shape who he becomes. In Step 2 and Step 3, Cove's personality, appearance, and interest will vary based on what happened in the previous step. It's something of a mystery exactly how your decisions end up changing him. You can try to guess as you go along. Or, if you prefer, you can also just design your own ideal Cove directly using the Cove creation option that pops up at the beginning of Step 2 and 3. Making the choices you want is always more important than making a choice because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. When a choice does appear, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over an option shows a certain color: yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only there to give a bit of insight on the tone/emotion of the choice, since text alone can potentially read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual/straightforward, yellow more emotive/reactive, and green less certain or uncommitted. Though there are hundreds of options in our life, and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern. Picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like. Otherwise, switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow. Pursue your romance right from the start, never romance the love interest. Be disagreeable or amiable. None of them will lead to a bad ending. You're welcome to enjoy the events and shape the story without reservation. And then, if you like, you can play again to try something new. There's only ever more good content to discover. We hope you'll have a nice time with our life. Thank you for playing. I am excited. Alright, let's get into this. Last time. So, in my first ever playthrough of this game, I made Joy an MB by pure accident, because I didn't even notice the pronouns at the bottom there, so I just blew past that. I'm like, oh, well, we're rolling with it. That was intentional, right? Anyway, I'm going to cut the recording and be back when I have a fully shaped character. Alright, I believe I am done. I have given this character the name Xander Adams, just because I like the name Xander. Anyway, they have a round, this one's a he, has a round face, dark brown skin, round eyes, black eyes. I gave him locks back and front, and black hair. I gave him one birthmark right here on his face, because I think it looks cute. I have mostly left this alone for now. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. Anyway, I haven't really given him any other birthmarks or freckles or scars. He only really wears shirts and pants. He's not into skirts and dresses. And he only likes watches as accessories. He's not a hat guy. It doesn't really fit on his hair, which I can relate to. Anyway, we are done. Into the game proper. I am so fucking excited. Let's go. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. You were too anxious to say hi back to most of the other residents that greeted you, but they all knew you well enough to expect that. They still smiled at you anyway, and that made you feel a little more comfortable. But today, there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person, or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever, or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your moms called it. So, for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your moms had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. I'm gonna stick with the very cautious options, because this kid is a fucking mess. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite then. You weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your front door. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. There was a split second where your eyes met, and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Hey! His voice startled you and made you jump, but you still didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gatepost, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started making his way towards you. Oh no. I believe out of the freeze, flight, or fight response, this character is going to be freeze all the time, which is bad for him, but it should be interesting. Your whole body was frozen in place as he approached. Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tan skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. You continued to say nothing. If you do... He rubbed the back of his neck uncomfortably, giving you a small smile. Oh no. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have... Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. Honestly? Dude! You are not making the best first impression on this literal child. I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age. You chewed on the inside of your cheek. This guy was definitely obsessed with water. He wasn't the only person like that in Sunset Bird. We moved in across the street, see? He gestured towards the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the light afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Xander Adams, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8, just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips at the corners. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Just give it a chance, and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him.
Do you mind?
But you've got to keep it a secret, too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. You eyed the man. What could be so bad about this Cove kid that his dad would need to bribe strangers to be friends with him? What do you say? Want to make a deal? You ran away. You spun around and made a break for it. You don't offer any explanation. You just focus on getting away. Good kid. You turned on the spot and bolted down the street, ignoring his calls from behind you. Hey! Come back! I'm sorry if I scared you! I didn't know how else to ask! Dude, you're a mess. The soles of your shoes slapped against the concrete skywalks as you ran, heat from the sun warm on your face. Step 1. First sight. Eventually his shouting faded into the distance. You let yourself slow down and try to catch your breath, wiping the sweat from your forehead with the back of your hand. The chirping of crickets in tall, dark grass echoed around you, and you lifted your head to survey your surroundings. You'd run right into the hills behind your house's backyard. From here, you could probably get back inside without seeing the guy again. You would be able to hide here until he left, then you'd go through the front door. You could peek around the corner to make sure he was gone before making a break for it. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. Oh no! There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have... Alright, what are we going to notice first? Let's go with green hair. But this new boy did. You watched as it fluttered softly around his face in the breeze. After a few more seconds, he took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected in the light of the moon. You stopped, raised a hand to acknowledge him, and show you weren't scary. Hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You'd obviously caught him off guard. He was your age, but he didn't look familiar. Maybe he was the boy that weird new neighbor had been talking about before you ran. The only way to actually know was to ask. You waited for him to say something. He sniffled a little, rubbing at his ruddy cheeks before he finally spoke. My name's Cove. Oh. You could see him hesitate, shifting his eyes to the side and then back to you again. My dad and me, we moved here. Your guess was confirmed. So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. You shook your head. While doing so, you also picked at a strand of lint on your leg. What a weird question to ask someone. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on a patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers, too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they'd never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents... They don't want to live together with me anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the backs of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. I'm sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. He felt bad for him, being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Xander!
Cove.
Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. It will be okay. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not gonna all be fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, and then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. You waited silently with him. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could answer, you heard Cove's dad, even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all of their eyes landed on you, and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Xander, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. No, we were just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. So part of me really wants to pick this answer. Because I haven't picked it yet. But also, I don't think that it's entirely in character for Xander. He's a very shy, very quiet, timid boy. I don't think he's going to be this direct. So, he shrugged. He's new here. It was okay. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief.
Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Xander knows the whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for all of us. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
Aww. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? You nodded, ducking your head down. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you toward the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Alright, choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove, and for this step. It can change in later steps. Alright. Nervous. Nervous as heck. I think right now we're probably indifferent to him. We don't know him that well. He is very much a stranger. So I'm just kind of like new and scary. So we're ready. Begin step 1 at nervous indifference. You won't be able to change it again until step 2. Yes. Oh, okay. Hell yeah. I got an achievement. Early the next morning, you were poking at your food, eating it slowly. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but she'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excited to see your new friend again, Xander? I guess. Oh, okay. The achievements are rolling in slow.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Your bowl was entirely empty, so you nodded. Mm-hmm. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then, on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Xander, could you get it? Because Mom said so, you wandered over to the door. Hey, Adams family. Thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him, and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. You studied Cove apathetically. This was the parents' plan, not yours. Not seeming any more excited than you were, he just stared back. Do you want to go play in your room, Xander? Sure. So, my room is this way. Okay. Aw.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Thank you. You're welcome. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You started to feel a bit nervous. You wanted to say something, but didn't know what, so you let him keep looking. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away behind your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. Yeah. You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Neat. This is a good collection. Hell yeah, boys, we're bonding! You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Ah, Shiloh is coming over. Shiloh? My sister's friend. He wants to, meet you. Do I have to see him? Me too, Cove. Me too. It'll be okay, I think. Here, I found the shell in a log, and you pulled out a seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. And because I'm only doing 30-minute sections this time, we're gonna cut it there. And next time you'll get to see what my choice is out of these three. Don't vote in the comments unless you just really want to boost my algorithm shenanigans. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. I'm so out of practice for recording, it's bad. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this episode, please, by all means, leave a like, comment if you got something to say. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you would like to support me financially, please consider checking out my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to all of my regular videos. And for everyone else, I just hope to see you again in the next one.